That's all not fabulous. Sensible, targeted investment is good investment in disaster reduction. You don't have to do it all at once. But if we set priorities around the most important elements, then we can make significant differences with small investments. It's probably not as much about constant investment and constant awareness that will allow that to happen. So, for us, particularly about investing in disaster reduction for extensive events, is very much a precondition for developing sustainably in Mongolia. And investment in disaster reduction for intensive events is particularly important with regards to ideas about building design, urban design, enforcement of standards, and life disaster. So, disaster risk is already potentially undermining the sustainable development of Mongolia. I think I've heard somebody say to me that 2009 blew about 6% of Mongolian GDP. They're potentially repetitive winters can even take out to 1% of our GDP. So it doesn't take a lot to actually make a difference. Again, the GAR report touched on some ideas about the way forward. The priorities that they were talking about around reforming governance, moving from risk information to knowledge, cost-benefit analysis, and strengthening accountability seem to be some of the priorities that they're looking at. I'm really pleased to see that I see and hear that, not necessarily implicitly in those words, but I see and hear that all the time here. So it's extremely encouraging. We touched on HIAGO before, the framework. There's a little bit more of the detail about where we were. People can actually become familiar with that and think by themselves. But it just reiterates the points that we made previously, that we're seeing that we're able to strengthen disaster preparedness for effective response. We did quite well with it. These seem to be the things that will reduce control of people who have strong commitment to this space. Again, it's just reinforcing for me the need for us to collaborate, communicate, and work together closely. The other thing that struck me very strongly around the HFA was the statements that we made in the last about the future. And this is what which I take as being the challenges that we face here. So our future outlook statements were three. They're about regard to the more effective integration of disaster risk considerations into sustainable development policies, planning and programming at all levels, with special emphasis on disaster prevention, mitigation, preparedness, and vulnerability reduction. Let's see that happening. The development and strengthening of institutions, mechanisms, and capacities at all levels, in particular at the community level, that can systematically contribute to building resilience to hazards. This is incredibly encouraging. The systematic incorporation of risk reduction approaches into design and implementation of emergency preparedness, response and recovery programs, and reconstruction. This is, to me, these are very, very strong statements that are clear, present some very clear challenges that we have to do. So just moving on, that's some background. I really want to just actually get into a little bit more detail about that. So how do we enable doing that? My apologies, I'm not really particularly well, I got a little lost. But fundamentally adoption, and to me, importantly, the penetration of the Sendai program for disaster reduction in Mongolia is that there's some elements that are actually already happening. I'd just like to reiterate those and highlight how to me how important they are. A supportive, integrated, legislative and policy environment. And again, as highlighted, that goes across all of our states. It's not just about those who have key fundamental interest. Targeted financial investment in DRI development plans and programs. We don't plan, we don't program, we don't know what we're trying to do, and we don't know what we're trying to do. It's actually quite difficult to attract investment from other parties. And some of those parties are both internal within Mongolia and external internationally. A robust and comprehensive partnership. This has been touched on many times. This is certainly something that cannot be done alone at all levels by all parties. We also need mechanisms to build partnerships. Partnerships just don't happen by themselves. They're extremely deliberate, strategic and tactical acts to assume that they are creative, they are particularly targeted, and they're sustainable. I think the first part of that is about the focus and effective strategy of communication engagement with key actors in the sector. And one of the things I'm really so pleased about being here today is this is a pure expression of that particular act. The need to do that by communicating and engaging as strongly as you can. And something that's a little dear to my heart is a project management approach. Breaking down this huge challenge for the next 15 years into units that are both accessible and deliverable. Project management simply assists us with that. And I touch again on the 15 years. That's something, as you mentioned, we've been doing this since 1990, so this is a continuum. One of the places I look to and somewhere that's been spoken about recently is the ability of Chile in South America to so significantly reduce its earthquake risk. That it's the most significant earthquake. It has reduced 10% its mortality rate in the previous ones in the 1960s. It took them 50 years of political commitment to do that. It's not an easy challenge. So, when it comes to challenges, we're always looking to leaders. Every person in this room is a leader for disaster risk reduction. There are some key leaders. And we're going to adopt a strategy for those leaders which all agree to, then that provides us a clear way forward. You know the people. The Deputy Prime Minister is a clear leader. The National Emergency Management Agency is a clear leader. The 12 Disaster Protection Services are clear leaders. The United Nations, both its country team and USODR in Bangkok, are clear leaders in this area. And when you lead, you're there to support others, to make the environment as accessible as possible and effective as possible, so that those others can be engaged and do what they need to do, both efficiently and effectively. So of course, government departments and agencies, AMACs, capital cities, schools, district governments and administrators, all have to make very difficult decisions every day about where they put their priorities. We want them to love us. We want them to be able to commit to these things. The community members, and of course that includes the private sector of business, the international NGOs, national NGOs, and of course United Nations agencies. For me, it's a new experience working with the UN, and sometimes I have the misconception that it was a purely integrated, effective and efficient machine. But it also is made up of many separate different organisations that have their own priorities. So for time frames, reiterating, we've got 15 years to do this, and we should approach it as a long-term development project. And I think very much in this first phase, as Dave told us here, phase 1, in year 1 and 2, where we're at right now, we need to prepare a very, very, very strong base that has to not deliver in the next 2 phases after that. So this first phase is about educate and establish acceptance, commitment, and adoption across Mongolian stakeholders. What's happening right here now. So it's great to see. Establish program funding, next phase after that. We're all committed, we all know what we're talking about, we all know what's going to happen. Funding, project design. So funding is aligned to, doesn't all have to happen right now, but the project design does, so that if you can get appropriate funding at the right place and at the right time. I think that's particularly important for international support, because we won't be able to do all this by ourselves. And so within that, there's the government systems, the relationships and commitments again. So it's quite an administrative process to actually put these things in place. For the big term, when we get to there, we've got our commitments, we know what we're doing, we know where we're going after the first couple of years. Then we can start to hit the ground really hard. Implement rolling integrated programs against those 4 priority actions. If you focus on what it is that you need to do in those actions, then we will get the results. If we become distracted, then we will not achieve those goals. Evaluate and review, share our learnings for the future, because we'll be doing this again in 15 years' time. Disaster management won't go away. So, again, some of the details around, I believe, the objectives of this phase 1 in particular, just reading back into the legislative and policy environment, it's a clear act of integration that needs to occur. Coordination and targeting financial investments. So we actually have a good program, a good strategy that allows us to really target and say, Mongolia, government, we can do this. The community, we're hoping you to do that. The business sector, here's an opportunity, we can invest in you, but you need to do that. International NGOs, international government support, here's a really clear place for you. We actually don't necessarily need you to do what you're doing right now. We actually need you to work with us to do what we're doing right now. Again, there's comprehensive partnerships and robust partnerships. Links to the national platform, very essential. And continue to communicate and engage always. We can never rely on goodwill that we establish. We must always maintain that goodwill. This is a marriage. And prepare project administration and application tools. This is an area which is quite important so that everybody knows what they're doing. And tools, well, again, will help with engagement and commitment. So where are we at now? Okay. So we go to this phase 1. There's a couple of steps that we've already committed to, we're already quite a way through. So we're going to signatory to Sendai, and we're highly committed to it. We're building stakeholders' knowledge of the framework. Again, it's what we're doing now, but it's not just this, it's happening everywhere. I couldn't believe how impressed I was to see Sendai in translated Mongolian on the day. It was incredible. We benchmarked our DRR situation at the moment. There's a project occurring with a country baseline assessment about where we're at, working with the UN on that through MENA. So that's what we need to have a starting point. Where are we? That's where we're on that. We had some informed representation at IAP that has come and gone, and I believe that was a successful event. We're working on a draft law of disaster protection, which actually aligned with Sendai and actually supports it. Again, first step in integrated legislation and policy. We've approved a national program of community participating in disaster reduction, so that's there. There's a place that everybody can connect to now, to find a spot. There's some things that we need to still do for the future, and this is particular around engagement. The discussion paper with regard to Sendai, we actually need to have a very clear and agreed position on the way forward here. And so I'm suggesting that we put forward some options so that everybody can engage, everybody has the opportunity to have their say, and then everybody can commit on their own terms. Following that, we use that information to build our 15-year implementation strategy. We cover governance, partnerships, funding, relationships, expectations. That's also a fantastic thing when you walk into, in 5 years' time, when we have a change of governance and a change of personnel. We actually still have a plan. Then implementation plans. So we seek our funding, we get our support, 1 for 3 years. Establishment of a national platform, and establish project management, governance and management tools. Just so, again, everybody has confidence and transparency in where we go with this incredible project. Phase 2, in a couple of years' time, we're going to be implementing those projects. We're going to be working in partnerships, and we're going to be delivering. And we're going to increase our performance, because we're going to measure performance. We set some objectives for that. We're going to have a 1 unit measure increase each year. We set that target and we achieve it. And we tell our stakeholders, including the community, what we've done, why we've done it, why the investment has been effective, and why they should commit to support for another 3 years. And then at the end of this project, undertake a major review of the implementation, identify those key learnings, invite all of you people back to hear that, because in 15 years' time, a lot of us will be doing something else. Because that's how long these things take. We're going to share those learnings with the stakeholders and the international community, and we're going to prepare that new strategy and implementation plan for 2030 to 2045. I just want to share, because I just want to share this with colleagues with you and say thank you for your time today, because this is an international situation. So on the most celebrated day in my state, in the town where I live, where I go and spend my summers quite often. Devastating bushfires, only 2,000 hectares, over $50 million of damage, 116 houses were lost. 2 days before that, six people were killed in Australia in bushfires. So it is shared across the world. So what I know in Australia, I can bring here. And what you know in Mongolia, you can always bring to Australia. So we have a shared environment. We're not alone, and we can learn from each other. So thank you very much for the opportunity.